Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. 7 November 8-5. And 8-5, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my can use and 8-5, this is 7 November, Charlie. 8-5 right now. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, reference to your last, you're Brandon 158, extra 5 shots, 1200 between teams and local. Also request your unit take extra Nexus to see if we can try to get Whiskey 9 and 8 for pause at the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf. My unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there. One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. 7 November 8-5. And 8-5, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
All right, welcome. The VA Secretary went to the American Legion's Washington conference earlier today. I was a bit busy. I'm a little behind. If I haven't answered your questions, I'm going to. I know I have like 2 or 3 emails to answer. I'm totally going to do that too. But instead of listening to me talk, let's go ahead and just listen to VA Secretary gives this big, beautiful speech at the conference, and then he takes questions from, I believe, 3 American Legion people, members, post commanders. I'm not really sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and watch this. See what's up.
There you go. Is anybody out there got to go, dogs? All right.
I've skimmed through this to see if it's worthy of watching, and the answer is yes. So I haven't seen it all.
See you all today. And as I almost started an intersectional war yesterday when I was speaking to a group. I got into SEC and got into Big Ten. Of course, there is only the SEC. And I mean, you got to understand, though, especially you folks, we got any Ohio in the house? OH. The only theme I've ever heard in life where you're spelling something. I don't get it.
I do love college sports.
It's good to be here with you, and Jim, thank you for that. Airman First Class, by the way, we just found out when I was looking to come over here, he and I both just toured some of the same South Georgia dirt. We were both in Moody Air Force Base. When he started and I went there, when I came back into the Air Force, spent about 4 years down there at Moody. It was a great time. The state of Georgia is really a place that I've called home my entire life, but as far as our veteran community and our military community, it is there. It is also the place for Post 7, American Legion, of which I am a member. And
okay. I didn't know VA Secretary was a member of the American Legion.
And looking at what I know the commander's priorities are, and you look at the Be the One program, which you just saw that wonderful video, and letting people know that it's okay not to be okay. Can I talk about that one for a second? In fact, it hit me so strong that I want to discuss this. And if you get to know me a little bit, I'm going to walk a little bit. So follow me if there's anybody following me here. It's okay to be okay. One of the things you're going to find out about me is I have 3 kids. I've been married 36 years. I've been married, known my wife for 38. She's 5'2", blonde hair. I'm scared of no man and one woman, and she's it. It's pretty well cut. But I have 3 children. I have 2 boys and a girl. My oldest, however, is named Jordan, and Jordan has spina bifida. She was born with no feeling from her belly button basically down. So we've experienced this all of our life on how she managed. If she was here, she would roll around here. She would be here. She would see every one of you. She's a social butterfly. Do not answer her request on Facebook unless you really want to stay up and talk all night, okay? She loves to talk. And she works full-time at our local hospital. Now, one of the things that is interesting with Jordan, and when I was a member of Congress, she would come up to the Congress, or we go to the mall, or we go to places like this, and people would ask about Jordan. And the first thing they would look at is they see a young girl in a wheelchair and immediately would want to help her.
Thank you.
They would, and some of us feel sorry for her, or empathy for her. In other words, it was something that drew them to a young person, and she's 32 years old now, in a wheelchair to want to help. But I'm going to challenge all of us here today with your own slogan. It's okay not to be okay. That if I was to stand up here today, unfortunately in our country, if I was to tell you I'm having a bad day and my mind right now is broke, I need your help. Unfortunately, our first step is backwards, not forwards. That's got to change.
Dude, he was a good chaplain. He's got the sauce. Okay. Now, he does get to VA-specific stuff here in a second.
We've got to be a people that embrace those who are hurting. We've got to be a people who embrace those that have found times because of struggles outside of their own, whether it be addiction or whether it be just mental health, that when they ask for help, we've got to be the ones to do that and pull forward. Where are my airmen, my battle buddies? The American Legion has got to step forward and help us with this. And I look forward to working with you in doing just that. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay when we start talking about those things. It's okay to make sure that we have people in the processes of life that need to be here. Because understanding something today, one of my first calls I got to make when I went into the office about 3 weeks ago was to 2 people who manned our veteran crisis line, who actually had took time to walk 2 people away from death's doorstep and walk them back to life into our facilities. That's what we are for. But also, before I get really into this thing and we get going, Mario Marquez, you're excellent. Executive Director, thank you for your service. I want to talk to Trish Ward, our Auxiliary National President, Joseph Navarrete, your Sons of the American Legion National Commander, the Legion's past commanders who are with us today, and of course, our American Legion family. It's going to be pretty simple for me, and you're going to see it on social media. You're going to see it everywhere. I have one main overriding goal that then we take other priorities that is. And the first priority is this, is we're going at the VA to serve the veteran. That's our only job, our only mission. The veteran is back to being the only constituent of the VA. The VA itself only exists for the veteran. It's not the other way around. It's not anything else. We're not there for ourselves. And every person in the VA, they will never have a secretary that will promote them as employees of the VA harder than I.
This did happen today. I was trying to get there earlier as it was live. I couldn't do it. So, but it did happen today. So.
I will, but they're not going to have a secretary who's going to hold them higher accountable because I hold myself to that accountability. Now, as we've read through your priorities, and you have a lot of priorities, you're going to go to the Hill. One of the things that I think makes me unique in the understanding of where I am and why I am in the position. If you look at my history, if you look at my bio, it's sort of a roadmap. And one time my dad, who has influenced me probably more than anyone else in life, he is a 31-year veteran of the Georgia State Patrol. He was 6'2". He is still 6'2", 250 pounds. I was a scrawny kid. I fought the law, and the law won every time. Okay? But he taught me what public service was. He taught me to go out when you didn't want to go out. And as I got older, he had been in the National Guard. When I got older and joined the military, I found what he was talking about, and that is looking out for each other and taking up for the person sitting with you or standing with you in that foxhole, on that flight line, or in that ship. That is what we're about. It's about that service. And my mom worked with senior adults. She took care of you. You ever have those in your communities where they go get their Meals on Wheels and they go during the day and they can do projects? That's what my mom did. So this is what I saw from day one. So as I've grown up, I have been a pastor. I pastored for 11 years. I've been a chaplain in the Navy and the Air Force. I'm an attorney. I had somebody ask me one day, how do you go from pastoring to being an attorney? I said, well, it's grace and law. I said, you know, we just balance it out here. But then I actually served in public office.
You know he was a good chaplain. I will say this, and I still stand by what I said previously. I still like him. I do think he's going to be a great VA secretary. The firing 1,000 employee thing, I would have hoped he would stand up to that and stand against it. That's a hill I'm going to die on, but I still like him. Okay. Anyways, back to what he said.
In the state legislature in Georgia and also the United States Congress. So I speak a special language for all of you who are getting ready over the next couple of days to go up to the Hill to meet with your representatives. I speak a language called Hill. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to scare some of the senators and some of the congressmen to death, because I have been very easy to tell them, if you want to do stuff for the veterans, you want to help VA, then number one.
That was not disrespect at all. I still like the dude. Not that the firing thing, I'm not going to get over. So
make it right, and number two, you gotta fund it.
I agree.
I used to have that problem. I used to be the one voting on it. Now I'm just the one saying, "Here's what we need. You passed it. You help me," and that's what we're going to do, because I'm going to make sure that the VA has an advocate in DC, at the VA, and all across this country to make sure that the law is being followed. And I know this has been a concern as we look out across what is happening right now. But when you look at it from a perspective of, have we been following the law? Have we been giving the stuff we need to? Then it's really easy for us. There's no gray area. That when you have VA care, which will always be there for any veteran who wants it, and I will make sure of that, you are also going to have the choice that we had in the Mission Act to let you go into the community if you can't get to your VA facility and get that care. And by the way, VA care is going to be VA care, whether it's in our facility or in the community, because we're going to hold it all to the highest of standards. There is something that has bothered me . Ever since I was a member of Congress. And it was when I went in my office and I had constituent people who handle constituent calls, people like yourself who call our office, whether you're a senator or a congressman, to get help. Anybody ever done that? It's okay. I know we're a lot of Baptists in the room, but you can raise your hands. It's okay. Here we go. But you know what happens? Did you know this? That 60% of all constituent services of a senator or a congressman office is around VA issues? Did you have 60% either benefits or health? Somebody having to call. So here's a statement that I've been making.
Whoops.
It's making its way around, and I want you to hear it straight from me.
I was muted. Sorry. What an idiot. The DBQ thing that everyone's talking about was the law that was signed and signed into law on Christmas Eve of last year. It gave this guy, VA secretary, the discretion to remove public-facing DBQs. That's it. Nothing has been removed. He just has the power to remove them. That's all. So no change to anything. There's nothing to worry about at all.
I am not rose-colored glasses on anything when it comes to the federal government. Nothing is easy. You don't turn it quickly, and especially a 470,000 employee agency that I am now steward of. with a $350 billion budget? Don't turn easy. But I'm going to tell you this. My overriding thought and what I told the senators was this, that my goal, if I had one of those overarching goals, is that anytime a service member, a veteran, has to call a senator or a congressman to get the benefits that you have earned, the VA has failed. Now, I don't tell you that to say the VA is bad. I don't tell you that to say that the VA is something that we're opposed to. In fact, I believe that every VSO and every VA should be on the same page. And we're going to work to that. You're going to have my commitment and my transparency to let you know what is going on, because timely access to health care and timely access to your benefits are the very thing that we have to have. But
I've actually heard the opposite about Birmingham, and I'm pretty sure they just went through a whole drama session down in Alabama. But
you know something? We got to challenge how we do business. How many times have I seen in this town in particular that, you know, we do the same thing the same way, expect a different result, and when we don't get it, we say, oh, well, we'll just try again next time. Well, I'm here to tell you, I'm not looking at a next time. I'm looking at what we can do right now, how we can get it done, and what we're going to get done with that. And that means that I need help. That means that we're going to have to come together, and you're going to have to understand something. Leadership is about leading. You learn that in the military. Your leaders do not lead.
I'm going to say something here because what I thought he was going to say, he didn't say, and I'm wondering if he's alluding to that or if I'm just putting things together that don't exist. He talked about, you know, what are we doing? We're doing the same things, getting the same results. What can we do now? And he's talking to VSO specifically. This is the American Legion. I thought for a second he was going to bring up the combination of, you know, claim companies and VSOs. He didn't, but I would have bet money that was going to be the next sentence out of his mouth, because it definitely sounded like that. Now, he didn't, just to be very clear. He did not. But
lead from behind, or they don't lead at all. And so for me, it's going to be about coming to groups like this. It's going to be about being on social media. It's going to be about testifying. It's going to be about getting into the hospitals, getting into the C-Box, getting into your locals. Who knows, if I'm in somewhere and I have an evening, I might just show up at one of the posts and say, hey.
Oh, man, just because you said that, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. You can go to watch your own dang video. Poopy butt, dude. Plus, you have a bad word in your name.
Everybody. And say, how's it going? Because you know, one of the things that I walked around the VA central office over the last little bit, and one, it was pretty empty. Starting today, they're all coming back to work. By July, all across the country, they will be back to work. I never quite understood how my doctors and nurses and clinicians had to be there every day, but everybody else could seemingly not. Folks, I'm a big believer in collaboration. I'm a big believer in people's faces. And starting today, we had almost, somebody told me it was almost 700 to 800 people back at the central office. I met them at the door and said, hello, I'm Doug.
I just did a video on this.
I'm Jim. I said, hey, Jim, welcome aboard. Come on in. You know, look, you know, this isn't hard stuff. I'm a simple boy from North Georgia. You'll hear me describe it. If anybody ever asks me, besides being Lisa's husband,
that's a good point.
Of faith who believes that God has saved.
That's such a good point that you bring up. He had nothing to do with that. Obviously, it was, you know, Daddy Elon. Just saying.
Me from the areas of my life. I am a trooper's kid from North Georgia. When I walk in that VA facility and I walk in that central office and I walk up to my office and I get up there, I'm really looking for somebody to come pull me out and say, Doug, it's time to go. Whenever I went into Washington, I looked at that Capitol. When I flew into Washington National Airport, I'd look up at that dome and I would say, I can't believe that
you are okay.
They're letting me go there.
Don't worry about it.
I still believe deeply in this country. I believe that our best days are ahead of us. I believe that the things we've got to do is break out of this mire, that we can't fix things, because we can fix things. And with your help and my help together, when we work together, there is no stopping. And the best day for a veteran is lying ahead of us. because for those of you in the room that are still serving maybe, or the ones that we got on, I've had an understanding with our new Secretary of Defense, and he and I have talked about this. I believe that DOD and VA are basically brothers, sisters, however you want to call us. We're twins. We just catch each other at different times in our careers.
Yeah.
And that if we're doing it right in the VA, then that helps DOD, because DOD then knows that VA is okay, and DOD then can go out and recruit, and we can bring our best and brightest. And we don't have men and women who serve who tell their children don't join because they had a problem in DOD or they had a problem in the VA, and they say stay away from it. That is where we've got to get back to, where we want our young men and our young women serving in our military, just like we have, because we know what is special about that time of commitment. Seeing that flag, going wherever we go, knowing that there's a purpose and a duty to all of it. It's all mixed together. We want to separate it. This country is too divided in the sense of separation. And that's one of the things why we've taken steps at the VA to bring us back together. We took $14 million that was dedicated to what was called diversity, equity, inclusion. And guess what? We did away with it because we're going to all be equal. I don't care where you come from, what you look like, or where you've been. You serve, you get a veteran benefit. And we took that away and put $14 million back to veterans' health care. And that's where it belongs.
So I see the comment section doing what it's supposed to do. I appreciate that.
Also, one of the most memorable times for me when I was in Iraq serving, I remember one morning we got up, and yes, I'm in the Air Force. Yes, I know we have our brethren from the Army and the Marines in the place. I passed my PT test the other day. Thank you very much. I don't want you to think down on me by how many shuttle runs I ran, but I passed, okay? I did good on my push-ups and sit-ups, so thank you very much. At 5, I broke a sweat and I was ready to go. But in Iraq, we went out and we did a 5K run, and we started that 5K run, and you know what they had hanging between two cranes? They had a giant American flag. And they played the national anthem. I'm 6,000 miles away from home, tears streaming down my face. I miss my family, I miss my life, but I knew what I was doing was supposed to be. And you know why? Because that flag was right there. That is why last week I signed a directive that at the VA, there will only be the United States flag and the POWMIA flag flying in front of our facilities.
I'll agree with that, Daniel, for sure.
And be very clear to me, anybody who says different, they say, well, anybody is welcome. You're a veteran, you come to the VA, you will be welcome, but we have one flag, and that is the American flag. And we're going to make sure everybody is welcome to get the benefits they deserve. I'm not going to take any of the guff from anybody else that says different. We're going to be welcoming at the VA, but we're also going to be unified at the VA. When we look at this, accountability, only it seems like in government, accountability is a bad word. I mean, I gave y'all an amen moment if y'all never had one before. It is amazing to me that accountability is something we look down on. How many of us would have made it not out of boot camp, maybe the first day, if we wasn't held accountable for what we do? Well, this is going to be true as I take it in the VA. But you know what? It starts with me. I made a couple of promises to the members.
His accountability thing reminds me of what the first Trump administration did whenever they really made a lunge to fire VA employees. I remember reading an article, I did a video about it too, where Doug Collins was quoted, and he had mentioned accountability in firing bad VA employees. I don't really know what that looks like. I just assume that's what he's talking about. I could be totally wrong, okay? Because it was a very quick, we're in speech mode right now.
Members of the Senate.
Yes, this is the American Legion's Washington conference. Okay, this was today, aired today.
The first thing is when if you happen to see my confirmation hearing and see my opening statement, I said there'll be two things that will remind me of who I serve and why I'm here. That will be at my office in the VA, and they're right there right now. One is my dog tags, and the other is a paracord bracelet that was made for me by a young airman in Balad, Iraq. One night when she said, Chaplain, I want to give you something because you're always giving us something. And it reminds me of all those that have served and all those that continue to serve. And they're sitting right there reminding me of why we do what we do. And if we don't understand that, then we're sort of lost in this process. But there's also something I keep on my desk. And it's a quote, and I was joking earlier about SEC football and Big Ten football. We're not spelling Ohio again. I mean, I'm slow, but I can spell UGA, but that's a whole different story. I tell you, we're going to get this down yet. But one of the things on there was a saying, and it was from Coach Bear Bryant, legendary football coach. And he made this statement, and it sits on my desk. And it's my guiding principle. And it's my accountability to you. It's my accountability to the president who put me in this position. And also, by the way, somebody asked me one day, what did the president tell you when he gave you this job? And I said, well, it's pretty easy. I said, Mr. President, thank you. What do you want me to do in this job? He looked at me, looked across the table, and he said, take care of my veterans. That's all he said. Take care of my veterans. And I don't know what you do with the commander-in-chief. You take your gun and you salute. That's it. We're going to take care of you. But one of the things is there is accountability. And so that was that note that sits on my desk says this.
Fraud, waste, and abuse. Blige should not have a swimming pool. I'm going to say it right now.
This. When it all goes wrong, it's my fault. The VA, I want them to challenge themselves. I want them to experiment. I want them to work. I want them to try new ideas. I want them to go out, and when they fall on their face, just like a dad picking up a child learning how to ride a bicycle, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to pick them up. And right now, if anybody gets onto them, I'm going to say, it's my fault. They're working hard. My fault. If everything goes sort of right.
That was a weird analogy there.
Been there?
He could have done better.
Then it's both of us. It's all of us.
Come on, big dog.
But then when everything goes right, it's all of them. I've got to feel a place in my life to where I get the greatest joy at watching others succeed. There's an old man named Zig Ziglar who made the statement one time. He said, if you help enough people in life get what you want, you'll get what you want. Think about that one for a minute. So for me, it's about lifting others up. It's about lifting people up to a higher plane. It's about holding each other accountable. It's about making the difference in our societies, in our lives, and in our people. Accountability.
I just got a update just now, literally just now. Let me just Google. I'm going to Google this just to make sure. Brand new update. Let me just check. Yeah, here it is. This just came across my phone. Someone texted it to me. If you're watching, thank you. I love you. VA fires. This was not planned. Okay, this was not planned. This just came out. 8:03, obviously. They fired another 1,400 employees. I'm going to do a video on this, but I just want to read it real quick. More non-mission critical probationary employees. More. This was the one thing I don't like about Doug Collins. Everything else I really like about the new VA secretary. And I understand it's not his fault. It's more Daddy Elon. But man, dude, I want, someone told me today that they wish the VA secretary would stand up against what's coming down. So 1,400 new probationary employees, also non-critical. This is another 83 million per year. So add that to 98, whatever that math is mathing. Illegal. This is the ranking. Blumenthal, who is a veteran. He's the Senate SVAC person. Let me just make sure there's nothing crazy happening. I will say this. If the VA is firing more probationary employees, we can expect it from all the other agencies. Yeah. Anyways, food for thought. There you go. You just got firsthand news. Okay, let's go back to our video here. I'm going to read all the comments as he's talking.
Is it the first and foremost? So as we come to this understanding of this new day, and I really want it to be a new day at the VA. I want it to be not a day in which everything in the past was bad and not everything in the future is going to be great. There are going to be times that we're going to disagree. We do. I've been married 36 years. I was right once or twice. Very seldom. Thank you. I appreciate that for, that percentage. But we're going to disagree. But we're going to come together and talk about it. And we're going to know that if at the end of the day, if you have the veterans' interest at heart, I have the veterans' best interest at heart, because we are veterans, then we're going to find a solution. Believe me, I had a lot of ideas going through basic training of ideas in OCS that I would have thought it would have been much better if we slept in instead of getting up. But we came to a gentleman's agreement I was up, they were right, I was wrong, okay?
He's funny.
So this is where I want you to understand. And when you go to the Hill tomorrow, you pray proudly as a veteran, remembering that many on the Hill have never served. It's not their fault. Well,
he's making some good points.
that's about as close as I came to a story on here. But they need to hear from you. But they also need to be honest hearing from you. And I think when we understand that, that makes it a lot different. Because when we hold each other this accountable, when we make sure that we talk about things and we do things, and like I said, we've done some things that we'll get to, and I'm sure you'll have some questions about, and I want to make sure we do it. But there are one final thing that I want to talk to you about, and I'll emphasize it again as we go. And I haven't forgot it. We talked about suicide at the very beginning. Homelessness is another. And it's just unfathomable to me that we have 40,000 people, roughly, and those are the ones we know, that serve this country but have not a roof on their head. That's got to change. And we've worked too long to not see that as we go forward. So these are the kind of things that we're going to work on. This is the kind of energy you're going to get from me every day. You're going to walk in and you're going to know that you have a VA secretary that is trying his best to make sure that the VA is living up to its mission. And mission one at the VA is the veteran. Help me out here. Mission one is what? The veteran. Mission one is? Veteran. Mission one is? Veteran. That is it. God bless you. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
He answers questions. All right. I don't know what the heck just happened there. Was that just his intro?
We're together in this. Thank you.
That was just his intro?
We're together in this, and we're going to make it happen. I do have a few time. I know there is some, and there's been some put forth some questions. I will answer those questions, and we're going. And I've got to start over here. I start to my left. I never go left. I typically go right. But, we'll start left.
Good afternoon. I'm Cindy Lacoste, Department of Massachusetts. Mr. Secretary, what are your thoughts on the condition of the VA facilities and the possibility of reviving comprehensive infrastructure review to address severely aged infrastructure?
Thank you. Thank you for that
Old
question.
buildings.
Do y'all realize that,
If
you don't realize
question.
this, some of you will, that the VA is the largest healthcare system in the country, okay? Except one big difference. The 170 hospitals that I have under my purview, and not counting the C-box that are out there, the 170 hospitals, the average age is somewhere between 40 and 50 years old. 40 and 50 years old. How many of you have a local hospital in town that is that old? Yeah, maybe a few of you. VA facility, but your private hospitals, they're not that old. They're redone. And even your public hospitals, they're redone. So one of the things we got to do, this is where we got to have some help, because again, in upgrading these structures and finding new ways, also bringing it up, make sure that we're actually using our resources where we should. And that's that report. Are we making sure that we have facilities that may need to be repurposed, still providing for the veteran, but then we've got areas of the country in which we need to make sure that we're having overflows, we're having people out the door, but they don't have the facilities to do that. This is an area Congress has got to address. In fact, Congress addressed it in your question, and then they walked away from it. After they passed it unanimously, they walked away from it. Why? Because I'm going to give you a little secret. Are we all friends here? Yes. And I do realize there's probably some press here. So I know it won't be a secret, but we're going to keep it anyway. When you're on the Hill, hard decisions aren't easy. They're political. And so we got to work that out. So I think what we got to do is we're putting forth our budget proposals, and we're talking about where we need it, because I need better infrastructure facility to do medical health records, and also to make sure we get those online, but also to make sure that we're taking care of the various needs that we have. But some of that is going to require us taking a hard look at where we're putting resources and where we're not putting resources, and fixing those as we go. So thank you for that question. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Mike Simon, Department of Arizona. Mr. Secretary, one of the biggest concerns in the veteran community right now is that we will have our benefits taken away, and the job cuts in the VA will also impact services to our veterans. Can you please address how the money from the job cuts will be moved to benefit veterans, and how specifically?
Outstanding. That is.
I don't want to sound like a douchebag here, but these are like softball, you know. I'm going to ask a question so we get the world's best answer, so I can get a home run on the American Legion X Twitter post or whatever. Just saying.
All right, I've saved this because I knew this.
Hey, VA Secretary, what are you going to do about the unwarranted CMP exams? Hey, VA Secretary, what are you going to do about the fraud or the waste spent on CMP exams for claims that are already fully developed? I can't even want to ask that question. Been asking that one for like 2.5 years now. I haven't got an answer.
It's probably coming in a question. I want you to hear it clearly. Press in the room, take this down. I know this has been a hard thing for some because you're actually telling whoppers and other stories. There is no, hear me clearly, cuts to benefits and health care for the veteran, period. It's not happening. There have been job cuts, and maybe other more out there as we go, but every one of them, I want you to understand where we've been here. There's not a front-facing person that has been cut. In other words, if they're on a phone, if they're in a clinic, if they're working with the veterans, none of those jobs. In fact, we protected over 300,000 positions and added more on the early retirement package that was out there. We took some people. In fact, I saw this hilarious story where somebody in the VA, I don't know who, they didn't list a name. She said, I was going to take the package, and my supervisor said I couldn't go. She said, oh, well, I tried. If you're facing our veterans, you're not going to do that. So that is one of the areas. Now, what we're doing is then taking those savings, and we got about $100 million in some of our savings that we're now going to redirect to programs that are forward-facing. Our suicide issue, our other issues, also community care issues, so we can make sure that our veteran has the health care they need, but the benefits they need. I've also got to say this. Just in the last 3 weeks, and this is coming out very soon, I'm going to give you a preview of this. We have hit 1 million cases in VBA quicker than we ever have last week. They're working. So, folks, you may still have your case out there that's still going, but I want you to be assured that this is where we're doing, and this is what we're going to be continuing to make sure it's moved to where it needs to go. Because I want to share one quick fact. Do you realize that in the last 4 years, and I'll just use the last 4 years, when at the end of the previous administration, the backlog for benefits was down to 40,000. In the last 4 years, the budget at VA has went up $130 billion and 80,000 employees. And you want to know where your backlog is in VBA? It's at 250,000. This is not always a budget issue. This is about being smart with your money. I'm not ready to say that we're not going to take.
I'm gonna rewind that because that's the most important thing that he said. What is it? 121. Let's go to 120. Just listen.
So that is one of the areas. Now, what we're doing is then taking those savings, and we got about $100 million in some of our savings that we're now going to redirect to programs that are forward-facing. Our suicide issue, our other issues, also community care issues, so we can make sure that our veteran has the health care they need, but the benefits they need. I've also got to say this. Just in the last 3 weeks, and this is coming out very soon, I'm going to give you a preview of this. We have hit 1 million cases in VBA quicker than we ever have last week. They're working. So, folks, you may still have your case out there that's still going, but I want you to be assured that this is where we're doing, and this is what we're going to be continuing to make sure it's moved to where it needs to go. Because I want to share one quick fact. Do you realize that in the last 4 years, and I'll just use the last 4 years, when
This part right here.
At the end of the previous administration, the backlog for benefits was down to 40,000. In the last 4 years, it's been the budget at VA has went up 130 billion and 80,000 employees. And you want to know where your backlog is in VBA? It's at 250,000. This is not always a budget issue. This is about being smart with your money. I'm not ready to say that we're not going to take new approaches and new innovations and put the money back where it belongs. And it's going to be where? It's going to be about the veteran. Thank you for that question. Sir. Appreciate it. Oh,
the validity of the question. I mean, I see the comment section. There's going to be both sides to everything. Trust me. But the fact is, it's a money issue. You know, Jason and I have been saying it's a money issue. Above everything else, it's a money issue. And we see that driving factors like firing people. Okay. So it's a money issue, nothing else. At least that's how I'm going to interpret that.
Also, let me just address one quick, and then we'll finalize that. There was an article written, I just remember this. There was an article written about a week ago. There's a weird procedural thing in the Senate called Voterama. Okay. The Senate's not that creative, okay? I'm a House guy. But, and for the senators that come along later, they'll get over it. But they have what's called a Voterama. It's where they just go for a night and they try to, I always sort of, the result is that, let's see if I can one-up you and one-up you. And so they get these votes going to put the other side in a bad position. It's political. That's all it is. And there was an article written here in Washington, D.C. that I saw got out, that an article written, and here was the headline. It said, Voterama votes show or look like the veterans' benefits are going to be cut. All I'll ask is that reporter, and I stated this to our folks, would you please at least just go learn the rules of the Senate? Because those votes are non-binding. Those votes are political, and those votes won't mean a thing. You're hearing it from the Secretary of VA. We're putting the money back where it belongs, and cuts are not happening, and the layoffs that are happening are not affecting forward-facing, including Veteran Crisis Line responders who we were accused of cutting. Nobody who picked up the phone was laid off. We did have a few staff, backroom staff, that were laid off. Guess what we did the minute we found that out? Because we didn't even want the perception to a veteran that someone have. We actually brought them back on. So do not let a member of Congress, Senate, House, or anybody else, especially the media, lie to you. You come to me, I'll tell you the truth. There you go. Got your question.
Christy Janigo, Department of Minnesota. Mr. Secretary, the American Legion continues to fight to end veteran homelessness. What sort of investment do you see VA pursuing for this effort, and how can we assist?
One, helping each other out. I am a big believer that you're our front line, you, other VSOs, but y'all are our front line in communities and neighborhoods to find out what's happening, because there's so many issues that go into homelessness, coming out, the transition out, the loss of purpose, the loss of jobs, the loss of family, addiction, other things that put them to the point of not having a roof over their head. Or another issue that we don't talk about a lot, and that's food insecurity. In other words, they don't have enough to eat, and families don't have enough to eat. We've got to fix that. Mental health was something that I worked on in Congress a great deal. And I've told everybody in Congress, I used to tell the state legislature, if you want to put, if you either put health and resources toward mental health recovery and treatment now, or you're going to pay for it later, typically in our prisons. And we don't need to be doing that. Our prisons should not be mental health facilities. And by the way, I'm looking at how we can do veterans health courts and others that actually take our veteran out of some of the normal criminal justice process to get them back on track.
Join Discord.
Now, I'm also going to address what she talked about homelessness. I'm going to give you numbers. I don't come to you, when I was pastoring regularly, I used to tell people, don't take my word for it. You've got a book there called the Bible, look it up, okay? It's what I take. Do you realize, and most don't, that in homelessness, our budget line item last year was $3.2 billion. $3.2 billion. I have asked the question, as I'm going through budget hearings right now, I could build a house for all 40,000 and it'd be a pretty nice neighborhood. I mean, I would like to have that. So my question is are we, and we're going to continue that push, but I'm going to ask the question of why over the past 3 to 4 years, by the way, that number stayed about the same, so I'm going to put it in a different perspective, $10 billion have been spent on education or other things to end veterans homelessness, and it's only progressively went down and still have $40,000. Would anybody in here agree with me? It might be time to look at what we're doing and try something different. That's what we're going to do. So money's going to be there. We're going to get it done. Thank you. Yes.
Bruce Donegan, Department of South Carolina. Mr. Secretary, the VA's budget for outreach and suicide prevention is less than 0.1% of the VA budget's overall budget. How do you plan on leveraging relationships with local organizations and nonprofits to offset the VA's lack of resources in this area?
All right. Again, I'm going to go back to numbers here, and I appreciate that question because it is asked. You know what the 1% number that you just said? It's $588 million in prevention. That's it is small when you compare to $350 billion budget. $588 million is spent in prevention, what we'll call prevention. Programs like you have, programs that we've done, crisis lines. Did you also realize, however, that $2.3 billion is spent in counseling and treatment and others of those who are attempted or are close to attempting suicide? Again, we're spending almost $3 billion on a problem that has kept the number at 17 for the last few years. 17. 17 veterans who are no longer with us a day, and we're spending that kind of money. So what I want to know is, and how we can partner, as you said in your question, how can we do better with what we've got? But also if again, and go back, same thing was true with the previous budget. You go back the last 3 to 5 years, the number has stayed the same. We spent that much money every year. Money may not be the issue here. It may be how we interact. And be the one program, wingman program, battle buddy program, whatever it may be. It's time that we also take personal responsibility. One of the things I've always give, it's easy to drop the coin in the collection plate and ask somebody else to go do the charity. It's harder to get up out of the chair and go do it yourself. I'm challenging you here. I need your help. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't need your help. There's 17 people today that do, though. Just think about this. Listen to this as I count. 1.
I do. Not about what he's about to do. I do like how he kind of gave a call to action to VSOs, in my opinion. I don't want to say VSOs can do more. I'm just saying, if you look at the American Legion budget that just came out, their $990 form, that's a lot of money. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Who do you know that needs a call? Who do you know that might need a cup of coffee? Who do you know that just broke up with their spouse? Who do you know that can take some of the programs and the money we have and get them directed to that VA program? That's a great question. You have my commitment. We're going to continue to work on it.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I think I got one more. You have a question?
Yes, sir. Mr. Secretary, thank you very much, sir. A little over a week ago, the president signed an executive order, the MAHA executive order, calling for investigations of the prevalence of and threat of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, antipsychotics, sedatives, and other psychiatric drugs. Today, the VA veterans under the care of the Veterans Health Administration, approximately 68% of all veterans are being prescribed a psychiatric drug. Nowhere in the past 15 years have we seen a single mention of medications in the role of veteran suicides, though we know that these drugs have risk profiles of suicides. Sir, we'd love to work with you across the board on all issues preventing mental health and suicide. Be the One has been a fantastic, incredible program, but the data we're looking at, 25% of these deaths may be caused by unsafe prescribing practices and overprescribing and failures to provide informed consent. We have OIG reports saying the same.
Well, you're hitting on my very thing. I'm taking a fresh look at everything we're doing. I do not believe in the, in fact, they've come to me now. It only took about 2 weeks for them to come to my conference table and say, well, we've always done it that way. You don't tell an old Baptist preacher, you know, if somebody asks, how'd you get into it? Well, it's that Baptist deacons meeting. Oh, we can't do it that way. We've always done it this way. No, we're not going to do it. And that's what we're going to have to look at here. And then we're going to look at everything we can, because those 17 that I numbered off, those are, whatever the issue, we're trying to get it down. So you have my commitment to look at everything that we're doing, because at the end of the day, one life is too many. So thank you. All right, folks, thank you so much. God bless you. Y'all ready to work? I appreciate you.
I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm just going to double check this.
And that's it.
He said, thank you.
Commitment to the care affairs and the Veterans Health $5 million. Good. Million dues paid
on Capitol Hill today. Really,
we're not taking it out.
That is pretty much it. I want to see who that cowboy
Is
guy
this? Is it what happens?
That's it. I learned a lot. Okay. The VA secretary, I think, is personable. I generally like him. No one, and listen, I've already gotten so much flack for this. No one's going to change my mind that the VA should have stood up to hire on not firing these employees. I'm going to die on that hill. Okay. Other than that, I generally like the new secretary. If you are comparing him to Secretary McDonough, I don't think it's fair. Doug Collins is crushing him, although it's only been a few weeks. Okay. Let's revisit this in like 2-3 years. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you very much. I got to go do dad stuff. If you like really dumb shirts, go to Amazon or Discord. Join Discord. Join Discord. I'm going to show you where you can go to join Discord because I don't have the link here. If you're on my channel, okay, this is the channel. You click right here, Discord. Bam. Okay. If you want to know about me, you can even read that if you want. You get to know me a little personally. And then there's a Discord link right here too. Look at that. We're almost at 10 million views. That's wild. Okay. I still have a few emails to answer from last stream. I'm going to do more live Q&As. This is important. So for those of you who stayed, I'm going to do more live Q&As here soon. I expect to not be a federal employee for too much longer. More to follow on that when it actually does happen. And then I am going to transition to full-time YouTube stuff. And so when that happens, when that does happen, I'm going to do live Q&As as much as I can. Because for me, I already have every video you could possibly imagine. Okay. For everyone who says, you know, get back to doing claims videos, you cover the news too much. Shut up, okay? You see all these playlists here? What you need to know. So if you don't want to watch 500 videos, you can just watch those. Or if you want to look at all VA disability changes, it's in one spot, all right? If you want to look at how does the VA rate, that's in one spot. So y'all shut up over here. Shut up, okay? But no, for real, Q&As are where I can help people the most. It's the quickest. It's the hardest thing to do as well. And so I'm going to be doing more Q&As once I don't have a job anymore. Okay. The Discord, for some reason, I can't copy it right now. But again, I'm going to show you, and I think we should listen to this. Thank you for that. That's funny. You just go here, you click this link right there. It's going to be there. Or you can, if you want to read about me, about how beautiful and majestic and angelic I am, you can read that. And then you can go ahead and click this Discord link right here. All right. You can even go to the website and then find me. But yeah, that's all I got. I got to go upstairs, do dad stuff, do husband stuff. my wife and I just started a new marriage devotional, so that'll be fun. But yeah, man. Okay. Bye.